decision to give up play calling
I think there's a point in time where your whole concern is just, look, what is best for whatever program you're leading, and um, there's so many dynamics to running a program at this level today that are maybe a little bit new and different. And I'm very convinced that the culture in the locker room for teams that have talent will, if the culture is right, it's going to pay great dividends. And I think there's an enormous amount of time that I can put into that to help us. It's like I've told everyone in the room with Philip and Kent and the other guys that have helped me in the past. I'm still going to call a share of them, depending on what that looks like. Probably more in the warp tempo world. We really don't know exactly what it looks like, but I know that I have great confidence in Philip as a play caller. And I have great confidence in he and Kent and Jake and Ben and Cadillac and Marcus and those guys that we brought to help formulate a game plan should I need to be elsewhere, making sure that our program is right. So it's really just the total landscape of college football and running a program is, if I really do what I've done in the past and spend all of my time game planning, preparing to call a game only, I'm not sure that's best for Auburn.
Jason. Jason Caldwell, Auburn undercover on field show. We talked to Philip. He said his time as a head coach helped him as a play caller now to kind of understanding how valuable is that to have that head coach experience when you go back to being a coordinator and understanding maybe the entirety of the game. And I guess having head coach experience is definitely key.
Yeah, I think we're all a product of our experiences, and then obviously Philip having a vast amount of those is always helpful, and that's really another reason I probably should have included in my answer to Brian was just managing the game to be sure I'm on top of every scenario. When you're the primary play caller, there's a lot of times you feel like you need to be on the defensive channel as a head coach and aware of, we need a timeout here, but you're also torn because you need to be on the headset saying, guys, what in the heck are we going to do the next series to fix this? And so I think, obviously Philip's experiences are great, but ultimately the game management part rests on me, and I think that will also help me be more in tune in the moment of things that we need to do. We really need to slow this down. Sometimes when you're a play caller and you feel like, look, I know what we can do right now, that doesn't necessarily mean that's best for the entire team. And I think that but when you're calling it and you feel like, well, this is what's best for us to move the ball, is that the best thing for the team at that moment? I'm not sure. So I think his experience is going to be helpful, but also I think that's another positive of me having people that have a great ability to do that.
Back up, Bill.
Bill Kieran with ESPN 106.7. It has been a whirlwind. You talked about how you haven't had really a chance to settle down, but with spring practice starting the 27th, you don't have much time between now and then. You talk about trying to get everything in, get prepared. How much can you do as you get ready for the start of spring ball?
Yeah, it's not an ideal calendar for us in year one. With the new world, I don't really feel like we even had a Christmas or a New Year's or anything, but it's part of taking over a new job and the transition of it. And I appreciate the fact that February is a dead month, that you can really start focusing on your team. But typically you would like to take a little breather right now, but we're not afforded that opportunity. We've got to really hustle in February to get everything installed. We're all coming from a plethora of backgrounds, and this is the first week that we've really sat down and said, hey, what are we calling this? And, you know, how high up on the hierarchy of install is it? Is this something we believe in strong enough to focus on it in spring ball? So we've got thousands of discussions that have got to take place between now and the 27th of February. And yesterday was the first day that we have really just had a full day of ball. And, you know, Philip and I are trying to marry two systems. They're very similar. We believe in the same things, but there's a lot of different ways to get to them and a lot of different things to call them. And somebody's got to learn a new world. And I truthfully have called the offense that we've run pretty much the same verbiage since I was a high school coach. And so you're taking 30 years of me calling this cat, and he wants to call it dog. I mean, and which I'm really open, believe it or not. I'm really open to new ways. I just want to do what's best. But it is a learning curve. And so yesterday was the first day that we got through all the protections, and that was it, you know, in a day. So we've got a long way to go. We'll try to knock out all of our screen game this afternoon, and then go from there. But we've got a full month of February facing us.
Far right, Mark.
Mark Murphy from 24/7 Sports. We had a chance to go back and look at video from last season of the games. Is that important to do? Haven't done it.
Very little. Obviously, it was primarily considered around quarterback play, so it wasn't like full games. It was more of some cut-ups. I had, you know, the guys pull the good and the bad, and was able to watch that as we were on the road recruiting some. So that was primarily it. I haven't had a chance to really watch the games very much at all.
Second row.
Justin Ferguson, officer, when you got hired, you were talking about you wanted your defensive coordinator to be a master on the X and O's. What stood out to you the most about Ron Roberts from that perspective of kind of his coaching career?
Yeah, I think Ron is as brilliant of a defensive mind as there is out there. And if you look at all the really good ones that have come from his tree that learned from him, that speaks probably as much as anything to me. And then you just watch the success he had, whether it was at you know, Louisiana or Delta State and at Baylor also. Really, some of the stuff he did in the Sugar Bowl a couple years back. Stopped a very explosive offense in Ole Miss, and doing some really neat things in coverage. Just, you know, obviously it was, I've known of him, and I've known the people that he that have tutored under him and how well they've done, and then you sit and visit with him and hear his ideas and how he can be multiple and believes in being hard-nosed, tough. I think that's what we need in this league.
Coach back to left. Michael.
Coach Michael gets to the World War. You've been spending a lot of time on the road recruiting, so now that you're back, have you had a chance to sit down with the players and do one-on-one, try to get to know some of your playmakers?
Yeah.
You guys are.
Not yet. We were obviously on the road and then had big junior days this past weekend. And this week I was on the road again Tuesday. Had some high school clinics and then the Senior Bowl. So yesterday was really the first full day that I've had in the office. I'm more concerned with them approaching the workouts with Coach Dom correctly right now. And I don't know that it's the right approach, but I'm listening and watching and looking at the lists that come across my desk. And starting next Wednesday, I'll start having some meetings. But I'm just looking and watching and listening right now and trying to get to know them by their actions more than just someone that could sit and talk to me. And you know, if you're showing up on a lot of lists, it's not a good sign. That distracts me, and I don't care for it very much at all. And I'm sorry. Oh, any kind of, I call them my distraction list: parking, academics, you name it, anything it's usually not good if they come across my desk on a list. And so I'm just listening and watching, but looking forward to getting to know our team. Truthfully, it's one of the most uncomfortable things about transition right now, and the way we have to recruit is you don't get to know your guys. So I'm excited to get to know them, and next week will be a big week for that.
Front right, Philip.
You just talk about Bill Marshall, Auburn Undercover. Just talk about the way you grew up and how that impacted you. I mean, the hard work and the things you had to do.
Yeah, it was a hard upbringing as far as work. You didn't have a choice whether to participate or not. That was not something that you did in our household. You did what your father said, or your uncle said, or your grandfather said, or your coach said. And that's what you did. And our only livelihood was the dairy farm that we had, and then most of everyone that ran the dairy farm also participated in leading the school system. So you kind of because I played sports, I had the morning shift, and so the cows for 365 days never took a break, and you had to do that, and that was my shift. I guess that's why I'm a morning guy now. I don't like staying up late at night, but I get up really early in the mornings, and we learned hard work. We learned what it was like to have faith in hard times, whether the crops are getting burned up by the sun and no rain. And I value those lessons that I learned on that dairy farm for sure.
If I might follow up just a little bit. He became a coach at what point in your life, or was he?
My father?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, they dueled. He was dual that as long as I can remember.
Dairy farm.
He was dairy farm ran a coach. That's and as were my uncles. My grandfather was just the farm, but you didn't make a whole lot of money on just the farm for 4 families. So I think they all felt like they had to do something different to help ends meet. So as far as I can remember back, he was both.
We're gonna go to the back of the TVs. One on the right.
Coach Brianna Jones with Channel 4 and initially there was backlash when you were hired, but seeing the work that you put in on your recruiting trail, I think some heads are definitely starting to turn. What's the message now for people who still are looking to, trust you in this process?
Just give me a chance to get to really know me, and not what something you've heard or read, or so just obviously I've said it before and I've said it again. I've owned everything that has come into my life, both good and bad, and have made the adjustments where I needed to make them. And I think the testament of that is how strong our families are. My family is, my friends are that know me, and hopefully the ones that really matter are our players, our fans, our administration, and our families. And I'm comfortable with that, and hopefully those that take the chance and take the time to get to know us will see the same.
Carrie.
Area of staff that we can see on that over weekend. Coach, in this quick transition, obviously there's a lot of challenges that come with, your first year with the program, but obviously a lot of excitement as well. And I'm curious for you though, how do you quantify the benefit of having you guys on staff who not only hire some of the program as players, but also with coaching staff? How much has that helped so far?
Yeah, I lean on Cadillac quite a bit, and Zach. There's a lot of things that we're setting in staff meeting that was this a big issue last year? Was this? And I wouldn't know that without knowing some of those guys. Not just them. There's some in the off the field role too that we've kept that have connections to the other side of campus and do different responsibilities for us. And I value all of their input as I'm trying to make decisions as to what do we change, what do we try to get a lot better at, or this was pretty good and how did it work, and maybe we want to do that too. So their input is valuable to me.
Far left.
That's not just call it live. You talked about everything being condensed, now you got to get ready for spring ball. Does it change your expectations in terms of what you need to get accomplished in spring ball and installed for the other shorter period of time, or do you expect to come out of that at least the same as you have 4 years in terms of what you need to know and installed?
Yeah, no, we want. I really want us to get in spring ball and get good at something, particularly offensively. What can our quarterbacks do? And all right, how can we make that look different? And what different things can we do with what they can do? And we've got plenty of time in fall camp, in the week for a game plan to add some of these auxiliary stuff in if we think that's going to help us win a game. But truthfully, you know, what can we do on offense that we feel like our personnel can do that we currently have? And then defensively, man, we must play hard and we must be physical and we must tackle well. I don't care if we get 2 fronts in. Let's get all of those things down and go get the ball and take the ball away. So those will be my focus on. I'm not real caught up. I told them this morning, staff, you know, I don't care if we have just 3 install days and the rest are just us getting better at those 3 things that we installed on those days. So I really could care less how much we get in.
Middle?
Hey, Caleb Jones, Auburn Rivals. It's been a busy 2 months for you guys on the recruiting film. Can you kind of talk about the recruiting philosophy and how important it was for you guys to get to the
Yeah, there was no more important thing. I mean, I would love to say that I knew our team better, but the current roster demanded that we hit it hard, and I just wasn't afforded the opportunity to sit in the office and try to do anything else other than recruit. And so we hit it hard. You know, how much can you really do in 2.5 weeks? It's hard to really say how much we closed the gap on the teams that you're trying to catch, but I do believe we improved ourselves. Some of those challenges were very daunting, truthfully. I don't remember a time in my whole career where we felt like we had to sign 9 offensive linemen. I mean, that's unheard of to try to get to your 16 number. That's a big challenge, and you know, we were able to sign 8 guys thus far, and I think I like the 8 that we signed on paper and on film and as young men, but we've got to get out and prove that. And so it was there was no way around it. We had to get after it, and you also feel like you're behind on the 24 class because all these other guys they already pretty much know who their 23 is, and they're already getting a head start on you in the 24 class, and so that made for a full January to try to catch up on some of those.
Go back right, Tom.
Were you surprised at all by how much you guys were able to address during those 2 months, especially
The one thing I knew about Auburn is I felt like Auburn sells itself pretty well. If it has someone that's leading with a vision that people can see and buy in, and I do think I have a gift to be able to say, man, look, here's what my vision is for you individually and for us collectively as the Auburn football family. And our administration has the same vision. We're in line on that, and that's to be one of the most competitive programs in this conference and an elite program nationally. And you know, they come, and if you can get them to campus to come and see, I think they will sense an energy and a feel about this place that is attractive to a lot of players. And so and then you know, we've been supported very well by everyone on this campus to try to help sell the vision. And was I a little surprised? Maybe. But, you know, I come in with a pretty strong belief that we can get something done. And, you know, I was real proud of our staff. And it's not just the guys on the road, man. The personnel office, the recruiting office, all of those people that spent countless hours up here trying to pull off all of the visits that we had. All of them pitched in. It was definitely an Auburn family effort.
Front row, Jason.
You can talk about that kind of vision thing. We heard from recruits a lot about how this staff already felt like they've been together for a long time. Did you feel that pretty quickly when you guys started getting on the road and having to, again, roll up your sleeves and do that stuff in recruiting?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that if you're honest with yourself, and I think you guys would say the same. If you're really honest with yourself, there's a lot of things that you feel like you're pretty good at, and there's some things you feel like, man, I really stink at that, and I've got to figure out. I got to hire somebody that doesn't stink at it, because I'm going to fail miserably if I'm counting on myself to do certain things. But one of the things that I do feel very strongly about is the ability to take a group of people, formulate a staff, and then say, this is the direction we're going, and it only works if we all are talking alike, believe the same, and are moving in that same direction together. And I think that one of the reasons we've been able to turn programs around really fast is because of that, and I'm pretty steadfast in that every day, from my morning text to the staff to, this is what our focus is today, this is what I want your words to. I mean, it sounds like I'm saying I have to tell everybody how to talk, and I'm not saying that. I don't care how you formulate it, but man, I want everybody that we encounter today, here's the kind of the theme that we're trying to get out. And I think our staff likes that, and they've been incredible at selling the vision.
Back up, Michael.
Coach, you guys recruited a quarterback in the portal, this first portal period. Is there a plan to go after a quarterback in the second post-spring portal period? And you recently made some comments about the current group understanding what it means to be an SEC quarterback. Can you explain what you're looking for there?
Let me take question one first. Will we take a quarterback in the second portal? I think I'll know a lot more after spring practice. Truthfully, when I watch the cut-ups that I've watched, man, it's hard. It's hard for me to adequately judge quarterbacks if they're not afforded the opportunity to stand in the pocket and make reads and make different throws for a decent percentage of time. And there's just the sample size for that is pretty small if they weren't under some type of duress, or maybe it was more of a move the pocket scheme, so I'm anxious to get into to spring and kind of see how they handle that, and then I'll go from there with what we do in the second portal window. We entertained a few quarterbacks in my mind in the first portal window, but never felt great about many. There were a couple that we did, but they didn't pan out for whatever reason here at Auburn, and I was okay with that, honestly. I'm excited to work with the ones we have. Your second part of that was becoming an SEC quarterback. If you really want to be the guy that leads Auburn University as the quarterback, the leader, I think it's impossible for you to be a great quarterback and not assume the role as a leader. Well, what does that look like? It certainly doesn't look like that there's no one in that locker room that wants to follow you. And it certainly doesn't look like someone who gets rattled every time something doesn't go exactly right. It certainly doesn't look like someone who's on list. That's not what my SEC quarterback's going to be. No, I do not at all. I don't understand, man. I don't understand how hard it is to park in the right spot or to be on time, or I don't. And I'm not saying that ours are dealing with that a lot right now, but I'd rather it be zero, truthfully. So, I just think they've got to understand the whole makeup of what it is. And you're going to get coached hard, but that doesn't mean we don't believe in you. And you can't blink when something negative happens. We've got to play the next play. So, again, all of this talk that I'm doing is it total reality? I don't know, because I hadn't coached them a single rep yet. But I think what I'm saying to them is truth, and they've been incredible to visit with, and I'm being very honest with them, and they're being honest with me, and I'm excited about spring ball with them.
I'll take a couple more. Brian, you have one?
Yeah. How about
Yeah, I mean, that speaks to his humility, I think. He's the best quarterback coach I've ever been around. That's really not my forte, the fundamentals. I'm more of, man, here's the big picture. This is what I want to happen, and this is what I want it to look like at the end. Now you go get his mechanics right to get it done. And he really is the best at looking at a quarterback and saying, this is exactly what he needs to improve on. This is what he needs to do. And he's also a great game planner. And I think he's going to, be huge for us in that off the field role. And I really am leaning on him to be truly the chief quality control of our offense. And that means if we say, sitting in that room, myself, Phillip, any of the position coaches, if we say this is exactly how the route is supposed to be run on this play, this is exactly the footwork for the tailback on this play, the quarterback on this play, the O-line, communication on this play, this is what the check should be to this odd front on protection. If we say that in that meeting room, and yet the film shows that it did not come across where we executed it that way, that is Kent's responsibility. He has the freedom from me to say to anyone in that room, whoa, that's not what we said. And we have to get it fixed. I think one of the greatest traits of great coaches is you get things fixed from one practice to another. It doesn't just linger and keep going on and on and on. And Kent's got a huge role in making sure the quality is what we say and it's done the way we want it done.
Last question, Brian.
Yeah, Brian Matthews on the 4 second. First of all, on your list, is Brian still showed up on your list? Yeah.
Daily. He would not play quarterback for me.
Also, just wanted to ask these last 2 months, hiring the staff, the 23 recruiting, the total recruiting, the 24 and 25 recruiting junior guys. Have you ever experienced a 2-month cycle like this in your time coaching career?
No, never. And truthfully, as much as I hate to admit it, I was ill prepared for not for the grind, or I'm not afraid of that, or the it's just a new world of trying to, heck, man, we used to play for peanuts, or a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and that's what our coach would give us on the road trips, or $5 here and $5 there, and man, never thought about transferring. Man, I'm just thankful I'm on the team, and boy, it's a new world now, and complaining does not help it. So I'm not a complainer. But I really thought, man, I had convinced myself that I was sharp enough to, man, I put this plan in place, and this is what we're going to do for the left tackle, and this is what we do, and and here's the plan, and you compete, and boy, I was just, I was way off, and it changes from day to day, truthfully, and the teams that can handle it, this new world of all the voices that are in their ears, and I really think it's critical, and I did tell our team in the team meeting that you have to decide what your identity is going to be gotten from. And if you don't get this settled, it is going to be a wrestling match that wins against you time and time again if your identity is only tied up in what I do or what I get. And unfortunately, there's going to be many that probably lose that battle, and the answer is either, man, jump in the portal, do this, do that, and man, I'm praying and hoping and that we can make Auburn different somehow, some way, to where the culture we cultivate here and their value is and their identity is gotten from really who they're becoming on the journey we're on, not the external things. All those are nice. Some of them are nice, but boy, if that's our focus, I'm afraid we won't be as successful as fast as I would hope.
Coach, thank you for your time.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Everybody, we've got defensive